Funding for Off 90 is provided in part by the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund and the citizens of Minnesota.
Cruising your way on this episode of Off 90. Bright colors and bold personalities, Julie Fakler celebrates Faribault's Prairie's Edge Humane Society with her vibrant portraits of adoptable animals. Take a journey through the life and works of Winona poet Ken McCullough. And we'll tour a train depot turned museum in Peterson to learn how the rails have shaped our part of the state. It's all just ahead, Off 90. Hi, I'm Barbara Keith. Thanks for joining me on this episode of Off 90. When you see a painting by Julie Fakler, you can't help but be drawn in. She uses acrylics on hardboard and has a style all her own. The results are colorful, optimistic, and personality-rich portraits of animals. We followed Julie as she completed a project in conjunction with Faribault's Prairie's Edge Humane Society to paint animals that were up for adoption. You can't help but fall in love with Julie's paintings.
There we go, that's a good one. Thank you, Jackson. You almost have to like animals to like my artwork. Well, there you go. People that have no interest in animals, pretty much don't have interest in it. There we go. Oh, that would be a great painting. We're at Prairie's Edge Humane Society, taking photos of the animals to paint portraits of them for my grant to promote adoption from the Humane Society. So my idea was to have an exhibit of these animals and show the public what wonderful animals, what variety of animals that you can adopt from the local Humane Society.
It's a really great thing that she's doing for us.
There we go, that's a good one.
She has this way to capture the personality from the pictures that I've seen, which is a really big thing. It's really exciting to get to see an animal that's been adopted that had a photo painted of it while it was still here waiting to be adopted.
I've been painting animals since I was little. In high school, I started painting deeper, darker issues, when teenagers are moody and dark and depressed. And then my father bought a hobby farm in Texas, and my sister and I went and lived on the hobby farm for a summer, and that's when we got passionate about animals. Living with the animals is what got me passionate, and have been doing them ever since. I have no idea how many paintings I've done. So there's paintings out there I even forget I did, and then somebody will say, oh yeah, I remember that painting, and if they show me, then oh yeah, I forgot I even did that painting. Big Bad Birdie Boy. This is Vinny. Here's Lupe. Willie on the blue chair. I think a lot of people that are emotionally attached to their pets can relate to my paintings. A lot of people that hate cats don't like my paintings. Way to his heart is through his stomach. I have 6 cats, Salvador, Isabella, Vinny, Moreau, Willie, and Dickens. They're all named after artists or authors. You're actually being pretty brave. They're my models constantly, my companions. Cats have an amazing attitude. They don't seem to care what other beings or people or other cats think. They just kind of do what they want. I capture the personality of the cats in their eyes and in their body language, the composition. The eyes, it depends, what they're focusing on, if they're mean cat or if they're an aloof cat, happy cat, crazy eye. That we have one that looks like he has crazy eye now and then. I love cats. Not quite a crazy cat lady, but almost. I've always been driven to make art. It's almost like a need to paint. It's always been there. I love to be productive. If I'm not productive, I don't feel good about myself. A lot of movement in the brushstrokes. Colors, important but intuitive. I don't really spend a lot of time thinking about it. I like outlines. I draw the image, fill it in with paint, and then redraw it, fill it in with paint, and go back and forth until I feel it's finished. I did have one person comment and said that my style was unique, which is, I think, what an artist strives for. I think it's the way I paint. The brush strokes are different. They're rather aggressive. If you see my brushes, they're pretty much destroyed, no matter what I do. Try buying more expensive brushes, but it doesn't help. They all get destroyed. Animals aren't critiquing their portraits where people would critique their portraits. The animals don't know that you're photographing them all the time, so they might be more natural. I have done a lot of people in the past, but I just drawn to animals. I hope when people look at my work that they enjoy it, that they react in a positive way. I do have a few that are humorous. I like it when people, laugh or enjoy the work. Paintings don't always have to be serious. There can be both sides to them. I hope to someday live off my art. People say that's unrealistic, but I'm going to try it. I don't care if I'm 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 years old, I'm going to keep doing it.
Ken McCullough lived in many different parts of the U.S. before finally settling in Winona. During his travels, Ken's love of nature and of writing grew. He mastered many different forms of poetry, ranging from classical structures to modern. It's because of this mastery that he was asked to be Winona's Poet Laureate from 2009 to 2011. Ken's poems are defined by a style that's both complex and accessible, with heavy infusions of the natural world.
Wolf Point. You have fallen asleep in a black slip in our ship among maples, doves, and owls. Seeing you every morning, at night, as I close my eyes, is my salvation. So there's something very deep about poetry, There's something primal. Making love with you, sometimes succulent, like swimming in rose petals, sometimes throwing my body against an electric fence. My name is Ken McCullough, and I'm a poet. Poetry, since the 10th grade, has been a permanent part of my life. And as you, I'm sure you're aware, there's not a whole lot of money in poetry. Now and then, you know, there's one kind of windfall or another. And I would say that more important than windfalls is when you get a letter from an editor, which keeps you going. That one night in Wolf Point, bone-tired, we made love as if our lives might end. Since then, you say now and then, that was pretty close to Wolf Point. You were who you seemed to be, Western about the eyes, the fit of your jeans. I was still leaning toward oblivion. I started out as a biology major, so that kind of precision, I hope anyway, that same kind of precision is evident in what I write, you know, particularly in the use of the right word. I think for the most part I write in syllabic verse. Essentially, it's probably pretty close to unrhymed iambic pentameter, even though I try to disguise it now and then. I've also learned to open up my poems so that there's a lot of space on the page, particularly for a poem that might be set out of doors, and the spaces have something to do with either visual or auditory things that are going on in the landscape. Even though I do write in recognizable forms like sonnets and sestinas, most of my work is a little less formal than that. And I think, for the most part, it's accessible. I think it's an ideal form for me. It's intense, writing the poems, and it's intense. Well, I guess every aspect of it has intensity to it. And the payoff is immediate. And it's not that I don't revise, because I do, but I'll be walking around with a poem for a long time, fiddling with it. Night holding the scent of day. Tiny nest, perfect, woven from horsehair, red, yellow, black, white. At the fence, I stroke the mare's throat latch. Chartreuse of new shoots, red of rhubarb, one gash of sunlight trapped in the foliage. Curls, ropes, tubes, darts, turns, leaps. Clouds like two-day bruises. The sacred grove in miniature at the center. The low burn which keeps the garden going. So the reading of poetry, the performance of it that's always been important to me. And when I work with students, the ones who, when they read their poems like that, you know, their voices go about this far and then drop. And I keep telling them that that's not the way it works. You know, what you have in here needs to come out. And if you're going to strike the hearts and the minds of the audience, you've got to use that voice. Linens left on the line all day and forgotten. Sun-drenched, scents trapped in the weave of starch, of the wearers, sweat of work, the heady musk of gin and gauloise, juices, male, female, the drool of sleep on a pillowcase, trace of sweet colostrum on a blouse, magenta, red-brown, yellow, reflected on the linens. Orchid petals had taken flight and come to rest. Well, you know, I mentioned this kind of primal thing that goes on, that old people, even though they can't remember anything else, they can remember poetry. That it is deep down, there's something very ancient and in many cases healing about using words in this way. I guess that's another reason why I would read the poem so that they hear it. In one corner of the garden, a fleshy jewel of light swims within its parameters and into evening as the night awakens. I believe that, for the most part, poetry is love poetry on one level or another. Sometimes it may be rage which provokes you to write a love poem, but it's still a love poem. And I try to remind myself of that whenever I'm raging about one thing or another. That, you know, I may walk into a room and be raging about a particular issue, but unless that rage is directed to the audience in a loving sort of way, deep down, it's not going to work. I will listen to my wrist on your wrist. I don't know any ghost songs. If we have at least one more day together. The linens remember everything.
The railroad plays an important part in the development of Minnesota as a state. One place that strives to keep that history alive is the Station Museum in Peterson, just east of Lanesboro. The museum is a restored railroad depot run by a local couple, complete with hundreds of historical artifacts. And even though you can't ride the rails through town anymore, you can hop on the bike trail, which follows the same path the steam engines did years ago.
I like history. I'm not so particularly pleased about being interviewed and that because it's so easy to flub up, you know. But for the good of the museum, I'd do almost anything, to be honest.
John operates on about a $3,000 budget a year. And look what he has done. So you can tell most of it comes out of his pocket.
We're pretty proud. We just don't tell people that. Yeah, we aren't boastful people.
I just felt so strongly that if any community is going to survive, it has to have some history. If you just keep letting the history go down the drain, you're going to have nothing. So that was one of my motivations behind all of this depot, was to preserve some of the heritage of this community. Peterson Hasselwood came here in 1853. Your life was always mud, you know, and subsequently you didn't go very far, and that's why these towns were so close together, because 5-6 miles with a horse and buggy was a day's trip, and to go to town and bring your grain or your eggs to sell for groceries, you know, and so on and so forth, and that's how life went. The land grant railroad gave the railroad, it was 7 miles on either side of the track, so a total of 14 miles, every other section of land to sell to homesteaders or to people coming to raise the money to build more railroad line. So the rail got to Rushford and Peterson area in 1868. It got to Lanesboro by 1869. You can see the relationship between the railroad and the community, because that's kind of what got the community going.
I do remember the trains, about 4 trains a day, but 2 of them were freights and 2 passengers. And at first they were just steam-driven locomotives rolling through, and they were, as a small child, I was really scared of the engine because they were like big monsters belching fire and spewing steam on us kids if we got close. The engineer seemed to delight in letting off the excess when he saw somebody around. We'll never put anything on the track, but we put pennies on the track and squeezed them out. Sometimes we could find them back even.
The railroad, you know, kind of created a line of communities. You know, people could go to Rushford, get on the train and go to Rushford in the morning and come back in the afternoon, you know, or go to La Crosse and come back in the afternoon, you know, so on and so forth. So the railroad was really important in those days.
They tell me that it was kind of a local habit of some of the people to go to the depot at night on a nice evening and stand around, sit in the depot and watch who got on and off the train, if there was anything new in town.
I suppose the first shock I had was when I come back from the Army in 1959, and the first thing I realized was the steam was gone. I was so surprised. I'd been gone for a couple of years, and all I seen was diesel engines, and it was so surprising the change that came about. And so, as the railroad, the demise of the railroad, this particular railroad came about, I noticed that the depot in town here was for sale. I had heard through the grapevine that somebody wanted to buy it for its lumber, and I thought, no, that can't happen. I felt that the railroad depot was the most important thing for the community as a museum, simply because it didn't belong to you, it didn't belong to me, it was a community building. Even though it belonged to the Milwaukee Railroad, it was a community building. And I thought that was a perfect catalyst for a museum.
The bike trail seems to be now a big draw. The bike trail follows the rail line, the pristine trail in the state. Bikers are looking every hour to an hour and a half for a place to stop and do something, eat, and museums are one of the things that are very attractive to them.
We hope that somebody becomes maybe as interested as we are in it, that they will, somebody will take over, and because it's been a lot of work and it's, there's a lot of interesting history inside, and people should know about that.
That's all for this episode. See you next time. Off 90.
Funding for Off 90 is provided in part by the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund and the citizens of Minnesota.